What's up? It's not August. It's September, right? um, I'm gonna say about 20 years ago, I came into some awareness about a gentleman by the name of August Landmesser. And if you're not familiar with that name, you may have seen a T-shirt or a print of a a rally in Germany during I think it was 1936, and there is a rally of German residents at a shipyard, and they're all giving a salute to um, I don't want to I don't want my I don't want this share to get tagged or removed. So World War II, Germany, 1936. They're at a shipyard. There is somebody standing at the front of the rally, and they're all saluting him in Germany. So I think we all know the individual I'm referring to. His initials are AH. A like apple, H like hysteria. And there's one man, Mr. Landmesser, who's standing in the crowd like this, with his arms crossed, surrounded by everybody else who's goose stepping into formation. I love that freaking guy. Now, he himself, I've done some research over the years, and this shipyard base that he worked on, they were building warships. Um, I left the job at a military base because I couldn't work for the military. Apples and oranges comparisons, but the deeper story behind that, it wasn't just a simple act of, shall we say, defiance to the world order, or the world order in his time and in Germany at that time during World War II. It wasn't just an act of resistance, it was an act of love. And if you dig a little deeper, August Landmesser was married to a beautiful Jewish woman, and he himself was a member of the N party. But basically, anybody who was in Germany at that time, it was kind of a forced it was kind of a forced thing. um like but the absolute courage that he demonstrated in that act of love, out of love for his wife Irma, a beautiful Jewish woman. Here he is. He's an N and she's a J, and they're married. And he knew what this dogma and manifesto that was being projected. He understood. He understood what it meant, and not only was it an expression of his love for his wife, but his disdain for the narrative that was being pumped at the population. And can you imagine, right? Can you imagine yourself? Can we imagine ourselves being the one person in a massive group of people who says no? My initial thoughts back, when I first encountered that image of Mr. Landmesser standing in the group with his arms crossed, my initial thought or feeling about it was, man, he must have been scared to death And many of us would be. Many of us would be, because such a bold, seemingly defiant move against the masses. And there was a mass. The mob rules, man. He's one person in a group of probably thousands of people, uh, hundreds at least, hundreds of people. They're at a shipyard. It was all the shipyard employees saluting AH when they launched this ship. But as time passed, and over the course of experiences throughout my life since then, and having a general, when I was younger, I was forced to read the Bible. Yes, I had curiosities and things like, I had curiosities about the Bible, but then when you're forced, what's the best way to get somebody to not want to do something? Tell them they have to. And on some level, I was forced to read and study the Bible, and that's no fun. But I did retain some of the stuff that I read. Um, and I'm making reference to this man, August Landmesser, standing in the crowd, um, in defiance, but a loving gesture on behalf of his Jewish wife. And there was something that really stood. It was like connecting the dots. And there's a stoic look on Mr. Landmesser's face. It's stoic, but firm and calm. And I look back into my study, with the Bible, the Christian Bible, and references that were made to the first Christians, and the experiences that they had at the hands of the Romans, being brought to the Colosseum and fed to the lions. Okay. I can't ever seem to get through a share without having a cigarette in my mouth. It must look like, from a viewer's standpoint, it must look like I'm a chain smoker. I'm not. But I can't ever seem. It's like a cup of coffee, a cigarette, and a video. You know what I mean? Addiction. It's wonderful. But that is my addiction right there. I digress. Back to the Romans, the Christians, the Colosseum, and the original Christians being fed to the lions. Um, Yeshua himself, that there was, can you imagine, just imagine for one moment, the absolute perceived terror that one might feel, fear, terror. You're being led out into the Colosseum for the masses, and perceptibly, you know what's about to happen. And and I want to do it justice. I'm not a Bible scholar, but I do remember my study. So I'm speaking more in the spirit of what was being talked about, in the theme of what was being talked about in the Bible, making reference to these Christians in the Colosseum. And peace would come over them, even in this most terrifying moment. Peace would come over them. The Holy Spirit, perhaps. We may be familiar with these mainstream dogmatic Christian terms. But the Spirit would come over them, and it would bring them peace, even in that most horrific moment, a seemingly horrific moment. And this man, this gentleman, August Landmesser, standing in a crowd of at least hundreds of people, hundreds at least. I'll do my best to share the link, but if you Google it, August Landmesser, Landmesser, it'll come right up with images of him standing in that crowd. I would dare say that his passion and his love for his wife and his integrity and his beliefs and his morals and his ethics far surpassed any fears that he may have had being singled out as a dissident, a dissenter, a muckraker, a rebel. I can almost guarantee you, I'm not him, but I can almost guarantee you that there was a certain peace and calm that came over him, even in that most like oh my, if I don't uncross my arms right now, I'm going to be a pariah. I may even die. This crowd may turn on me, and I'm going to be up the creek. I'm going to be in trouble. But that peace, there was an experience. There was an experience that I'd like to share with you all that I had recently, that I experienced recently. There was 3 people, 4 if you include me. There was 2 people questioning a third person very aggressively about why they made a choice to not follow the mainstream directive. Why didn't you do that? You should do that. You're being selfish for not doing what you're told. Don't you realize the harm you could do? Etc., etc., etc. And I was a fourth party hearing this vitriol, and I'm being very calm in my inflection and tone of my voice, but I assure you, the experience of hearing and how it was being said was intensely aggressive. And the person that they were kind of being aggressive toward was clearly shaken, frightened, in a defensive kind of posture with her arms crossed, like, oh my goodness, it was painful to view someone in a posture of being cornered by 2 other people. And as I approached and got closer, I could see I was heading in that direction. And as I heard, I was like, oh, wait a minute, something ain't right here. Something's not right, And one of the aggressive individuals actually said, we're going to hold you down and poke you. And I'm trying to use words that aren't going to get my video flagged. But they actually said that to this poor woman. We're going to hold you down. We're going to corner you. And if we have to, we'll hold you down and poke you. That was all I could take. That was all I could take. I could not, the level of fear and aggression and pain that was not only being projected by these 2 individuals, but the the pain and fear that was being inflicted on the woman, and clearly, expressively, body posture, stance, her face, like she looked like a small child about to be beaten. It was gut wrenching, and stand for something or you'll fall, or stand for something or you will fall for anything. I need to shut that off. It was quite warm last night. Quite warm. My point being is that piece, it was gut wrenching, gut churning as I was approaching, but something happened that I would have to describe as a peace coming over me. A peace coming over me. I was about to walk into a situation where someone was figuratively, verbally being attacked and cornered. There were no punches thrown, there was no weapons. The weapons were their tongues. But I could not endure witnessing this and not saying something. I couldn't. I could not. There was something that rose up within me, and I could not stand by and just witness it. So as I approached, after hearing them say, "We're going to corner you. How would you feel if we cornered you and did that to you, basically against your will?" And I would have there was a moment where that peace came over me. This needs to change. And as frightening as it would have seemed to be to project myself into such a chaotic environment, I was completely peaceful in that moment. It was a wonderful sensation. It was blissful. There was an element of bliss to it. Bliss, focus, direction, purpose. How else would I describe it? It felt as if there was something that was guiding me. It was me, but it wasn't me. I was the vessel, but there was an energy projecting me into this calmly, peacefully, joyfully, happily, calmly, coolly. And get to the friggin' point, Scott. The woman who was being attacked, I simply grabbed her by the elbow. She turned, looked at me, we made eye contact, and I kind of tugged on her elbow. Come on, come on, let's go. We're out of here, and you're coming with me. And there was that deer in the headlights look, like, oh my goodness, what's going on here? It was that intense. It was that intense for her. I feel like as if perhaps in that moment when I tugged on her elbow, she wasn't sure if I was friend or foe, if that makes any sense. But as I tugged on her arm and I said, come with me, and I pulled her away from these other two aggressive people, to add and it just rolled. I don't even know where it came from, man. I don't even know where it came from. It just rolled off my tongue. And I looked at her, made eye contact, and I said, let's dance. Let's dance. She, what the? What are you talking about, Scott? And I locked elbows with her. I put my elbow, you offer your elbow and you lock elbows. We may have seen a scene like that in Singing in the Rain or something with Gene Kelly. Come on and dance with me. And we locked elbows. And I kind of dragged her down the hall and I started singing, We're Off to See the Wizard. Fucking, I like, where does this stuff come from? Where does it come from? But an instant release, break from the aggression and fear into joy. She didn't feel alone. I certainly didn't feel alone. We in this community we have we talk about the Christ energy, the Christ energy. So oftentimes you mention that word and it immediately puts, we immediately are driven to an image of a man when we say that. But Christ is a title. It's an office. It's a position. It's an energy. It's an authority. And I'm telling you, that Christ energy, in my opinion, was very evident for myself and for the collective small group. Not only being projected from myself, but it was in the air. It was in the air. And the absolute joy and contentment that she and I both felt as we skipped down the hallway singing We're Off to See the Wizard. And I'm telling you guys, the look on her face of relief and happiness, knowing that she wasn't alone. She felt safe, perhaps she had a moment of, oh shit, I need help, in a prayer when she, and we show up for one another in such serendipitous ways that we're not even aware that a prayer is being answered or an intention is being answered. We put something out there to the universe, I need help, and help shows up. And I've experienced that too, just an incredible experience. But this gentleman, August Landmesser, it all goes back to that. The fear may be surrounding us. It may be surrounding us. We may feel at times like a Christian in the Colosseum, waiting for them to release the lions. But there is a peace that surpasses our own understanding. And that's the peace that I'm talking about. Not only in times of fear, but times of love and joy, peace and contentment. There is a peace that I've experienced. And when I offer you a peace that surpasses your own understanding, that's what I'm referring to. There's a peace that resides within us all, or that is available to us. And I'm amazed by the experiences that I'm allowed to have, and the people that I'm allowed to connect with. It's just fantastic, you guys. It's just fantastic. So with that, August Landmesser, go check him out. And I saw a T-shirt. I saw a T-shirt. It has a print of him standing there in the crowd, and the caption on the T-shirt says, "Be this guy." It's great. I'm debating. I might still order it, but it was on Amazon. I don't like doing business with them. Maybe I can find it someplace else. So with that, peace. peace that surpasses all understanding from me to you. And sprinkle that stuff around, you know. Sprinkle that stuff around. I firmly believe that, you know, that light that's within us all, that light that's within us all, it's right there. It's right there. You just, you know, you gotta kind of meet it somewhere, and it comes in like gangbusters. Peace that surpasses all understanding. Have a wonderful day. I start my new job today. Um, yeah. Anyway, I love you guys. I'm out, and have a glorious day. I'm gonna, you know, yeah, whatever. Shut up, Scott. Love you guys.